What the heck is positioning? Do you just stand on the map and get killed? This idea is something that took me years to even grasp, but today I'm explaining it to you using my experience coaching thousands of players. I'll go over the number one mistake I see, the 3 rules of positioning, and apply it to real scenarios, making it so simple even little random mains can understand. Enjoy. What is it? Positioning is basically where you place yourself on the map. So if I'm in the middle of sight here, it's a bad position, but it kind of depends on where people are coming from. If people come from back sight, it's an okay position. I have cover, I have space to use some abilities, to bounce it off the walls, to use boombot. I have space to not just instantly get died. But if they're coming from B-main, you can instantly see the difference. Here I'm exposed in the open, they use one piece of utility, like a flash, and I am completely screwed here. There's one position where I see a lot of players always have bad positioning. It's the number one thing I see, and it's for clutches. Clutches are the number one time I see the difference between strong positioning and bad positioning in players. So people don't really understand this. I don't know why, but when you're in a clutch situation, you need to be more aggressive. You cannot wait for them to come out sight and use all their util on you and limit the space you have available. The number one thing I say, after you plant spike, you need to take space. Okay, you don't play back sight, you don't play behind cover, you go take space. Doesn't matter if it's CT here, doesn't matter if it's market. I would say it kind of matters if it's B main, we'll talk about it in a bit. But generally, when you plant spike, these rotators are going to start coming in. So you're preparing for the rotators. The KO is a question mark because usually the flank is like, doesn't really happen a lot, but it's still important to consider, especially when you don't find them in these timings here. So generally, I would say push CT here, look for a position. Doesn't mean you have to fight CT immediately. Maybe you play on top of the boxes here. So just getting yourself in somewhere where you can get a nice position to surprise the enemy. A lot of times players don't expect this. So here's an actual example from one of my games. Basically, all the teammate died towards mid. We're going to A to do our exact plant. Notice how I kind of take like the earliest plant spot, and then as soon as I plant, I go aggressive. I want to take a fight CT 1v3. You have to take a fight, like very aggressive. 1v2 you can kind of get away with it, but you really need an opener here. We push CT, accidentally make a footstep there, they hear it, throw that to try to buy me some space. Still need to take one here, so I'm playing from stairs. Listen. Get a 2k spray down, really huge. Notice how we didn't see the omen here. Don't even think twice about it. He's not behind me, he has to be on site by now. He's not with his teammates here, he's not with them.
Oh, so good, so good.
That's how you can have really good positioning in clutches, based on your utility, based on what's needed to kind of win that round. Before we continue, I need to clarify that these are my arms and not boobs. Also, if you're interested in improving, I'm now looking for dedicated players to join my 6-week coaching program. This is where you'll finally understand what's holding you back and get real results like this. You can also find over 50 resources in my private improvement community. It also comes with agent map guides, seminar recordings, and so much more. Visit Slayerkey.com if this sounds like something for you. Otherwise, enjoy the video. So when you position yourself on the map, there's a few things you want to consider. Okay, the very first thing is you need cover. Cover is the basics of good positioning. If I'm playing on site, I want to play around this cover. Right here we have a box, back site we have a box. Depending on where the enemies are coming from, for example, if they're like coming from CT, you could play like this cover here. You could even play like this close corner here. You could play this corner and elbow. It's basically any place where you can still peek the angle. So all these spots can be good, because you have cover to play around. So if things go south or you get flashed or hit with basically any ability, you can hide. The scariest one is probably this corner one, so let's get rid of that one. There's certain times where you want to take liberties like this corner, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so besides cover, there's a few other things that you play around. And these are kind of the exceptions to playing around cover. So for example, if you have really strong intel, if you're playing with a teammate, if you have an ability, these are 3 things that can really change how we play around this position. For example, we think they're coming CT here. Let's say they're actually not CT here whatsoever. Let's say we know they're coming from here. So instead we can actually push into CT and have really strong positioning by coming around them. This is good positioning because we have the intel that they're not there. Or let's say, for example, our average Reyna main wants to fight CT and they're just going to swing this and die, probably without a flash. Let's be honest, it's a Reyna main. I don't even think they know abilities exist, but your teammate wants to fight CT, you see him running towards CT, and you figure I'll just fight with them. This is something you can play around where you don't necessarily need cover. The last thing is if you have like abilities of your own. So let's pretend you are Reyna main, for some reason you chose this path in life. I'm not sure why you would want to do that to yourself. So you flash CT, you peek it, you get the intel that the players are on this side, or you find them here. There's other ways that are really for more higher rated players, but I feel like they're important to include. It's enemy tendencies and enemy util. After like 5 rounds, you're gonna know something about the enemy. If you look for patterns, you will find them in this game. This game is very, very repetitive. It is quite literally a game of chess once you play enough. Okay, a good example of this is if you know the Reyna loves to play elbow. You've gone A a few times, every single time the Reyna's elbow. So when you push elbow, you instead use like a Sova dart here, you throw a vulnerable here, you use some piece of utility, or you like double swing it with the teammate, and you're very considerate of what they do. If you notice, for example, this Reyna elbow actually really likes to push up flank when you guys make B presence. It's actually okay to like play one of the really ratty corners and get the kill for free, and then you open up A for your team. So that's an example of a positioning of enemy tendencies. Enemy util is kind of like, I mean, it is enemy tendency, but like there's certain things you can expect. On Sunset, you can always expect this like high gecko flash here. A different example would be like if they're retaking, I'm just gonna use gecko again, like they're retaking A, they can throw flash over here, or in post plan you can expect a wingman. So kind of just reading into, okay, there's gecko alive, maybe there's a jet too, what abilities do they have to retake this site? This is really important for your flash characters, but it's pretty much important against everyone you're facing. The one I usually consider the most is like smoke agents. Like if there's a smoker still alive and we're playing post plant, the spike smoke is a big thing to consider in higher ranks. Yeah, if you smoke the spike, it becomes very sketchy. So your positioning needs to change around this. You can't be playing from like back CT. Let's say you're Reyna, you flash CT, you push CT, you know these guys are coming here. You can't really play from here because there's a good chance they smoke spike and then you're out of position and you have to run onto site, which really sucks. Even if you go for like a wraparound here, this guy could already be on site. And so all of this changes, by the way, just because of this enemy util they have. So positioning is basically utilizing game sense to get really strong positions. It's using game sense to get really strong positions. The last thing that's important for good positioning is to have like a clear objective. For example, like back here, they're coming here, Phoenix flashes this corner, let's just say, and then you're hiding behind here, you do a high flash, and then you peek after like 2 or 3 seconds when you know this guy's gonna be walking up here, and this is just really strong play. Okay, so there's like the concept of good positioning, how you get yourself in really nice spots. So let me give you a few examples. One of Eggster, who's actually reached top, I think he's rank 1, been multiple times. He's just an insane Yoru main. And we'll kind of talk about what we did, but they're basically doing a B execute here. The very first thing, the entry on site, very good. With decoy, very good. Off this piece of util, he's forced out of position here. He wanted to plant, breach missile, force him out of position. He looks CT, didn't see anything, decides to plant the bomb. I think this is the first mistake because we do not have good positions here. By planting this bomb here, we're basically securing this tiny little space in a 4v4. And this is okay, except how we did it. So like in a 4v4 restricted space, notice you have the smoker alive. Notice that the breach is already back site. So you're going to be very restricted on space very fast. So you could play main here, but because they have a smoker, you probably wouldn't. So it was really important to make some space here and get better positioning on site. Unfortunately, we have spike here. I kind of disagree with the idea to have spike. I think it's way more important as the entry to like continue to take space, but that's just my own philosophy. We still have 2 flashes to use here. Our Clove gets killed by the backside player. I think the biggest misplay, I think this is fine. You get a kill, you flash after. It's good to maybe secure the trade, We still have one more flash to use, and I think right now what made our positioning so bad is we threw these 2 flashes, and the first one kind of denied the trade, the second one kind of just did nothing. We know this other player's backside, so flashing and finding the player backside is good. Maybe regrouping back B main is okay. He took this right side timing here, tries to get him, finds out the clove's actually here, so this would have been really nice if he didn't just burn that second flash. And then he decides to go more aggressive here when there's 2 players alive. I think he was trying to play off the Sova dart. After the Sova dart, his mistake was continuing to push up after he saw the dart not there. You see this, the Cypher just straight up holding here, just waiting for him to push up. Unless he saw the Sova dart, he should have played backside. There's really no reason to take a fight here. 2v2, very even round. So this is where our position kind of mattered. And an example of good positioning, however, would be this round. So this is a very scuffed buy. The enemy's on quite a nice economic state. He decides to aggro A and throw a crazy aggro spawn TP. Gets a Vandal from his teammate and gets a very nice flank. Now this is a very nice position to be in. He's gonna be in their spawn. They're aggroing towards mid. So there's like a very strong chance of a collapse here where they all pressure in mid. And so he walks up, he gets himself in position, doesn't expose his lurk, and he waits. You see how he hugs this wall here? He's also looking at his teammates. Both his teammates right now, let's completely pause this here. Look at his teammates here. Both his teammates are about to make contact with both these players. So he's in a very tight scenario. We talked about playing around teammates. This is him playing around his teammates. Maybe he plays this a bit differently and like more passive if both these fights aren't about to occur. But you're gonna hear his clove goes for a shot and then he activates. No intel on the last guy, and so we're just trying to find them. He's kind of deduced can't be B main Cypher trip. We kind of came through B, so it's kind of unlikely he is B, so very likely he's in this position. And positioning is a big combination of game sense. To improve your positioning, you have to improve the way you think about the round. Let's switch it up and hop in the game, and I want to show you like a few different things you can do to increase your positioning. So a really nice positioning spot you can think of is just like an off angle. Off angles are generally good positioning. You're generally good for one, and you generally can fall back off of them. Some of them you can't. This one's a pretty decent one. I'm sure you've seen it, where you play like this corner. You can get one here, tuck a little bit deeper, and then play for like a tighter angle. So you really want to think about like what the enemy is trying to do. This is kind of I don't know if this is a difficult concept, but like I said, the game is very repetitive. So like very often people are going to come outside and they're going to path to like here and here, right? They want to take this space. And once you realize this, just double my sense real quick. Once you realize this, it makes it a lot easier to realize like you don't have to really expose yourself. When the player comes outside here, there's all these angles they have to worry about. And it makes it very difficult for them to clear these all at once. At some point they're going to expose themselves or not perfectly clear something. So this is why off angles are really nice. This is why on like defense, these positions like here are very nice. Basically not taking the early peek, but instead taking like a walkout peek. This is what I call this. It's like a walkout peek. The enemy's going to walk out here. Same thing for this one. It's like a walkout peek. This is a good position because you can get one, you can flash out, kill the next one, or you can get one and fall back. Or if you're like a sentinel, you can get one, fall back, and have like a trip set up here. So when they try to trade you or walk out, even one like there, you can spam them through the smoke. Again, a lot of this is preparing for like the tendency. I mean, even we talk about enemy tendencies, it's basically like even just like them smoking the default positions can be a tendency that you can play off of. The flash from back here is a really good example. This is like a very wide open spot, so you could basically chuck a flash like anywhere and it's going to pop all the way up here, and then this could be for the CT player here. If you're anyone else, you could think each player is going to have like different positioning based on what they have in their kit. So like flashes are the easiest one. Let's do like a sentinel, like Killjoy. On Sentinel, you could do the same exact spot, but instead do like alarm bot here. You sit here and play off the alarm bot. You could do the same thing with like a turret here. Play off the turret. I mean, technically you could have the turret for both these spots and play off them both here. I wouldn't really suggest playing around mollies. Mollies are more like I throw this here, the enemy is like throwing a flash or they're throwing smokes coming out sight, and then I pop this molly so they can't come out. Like positioning for every single roll, I can do that too. Another example I wanted to show is not about clutches, but how to handle like a lot of pressure. So a lot of times when people feel pressured, they feel like they have to use util, they feel like they have to swing when they're in a really bad spot, and a lot of times it's not the case. All my teammates are towards arcade, and I'm alone B main with Spike. Okay, bad play on me. Very bad play. These guys toss a smoke, a breach stun immediately at the start of the round. They're doing heavy aggro play. But because my pathing here was good, I have this cover to play around. I know they don't know I'm here, so you just tuck and wait. Don't collect 200, don't go, just wait. This is a really important concept I like to call it get one and then throw something. Get one, then throw something. If you have good positioning, usually you want to get one and then throw something. It's usually when you're holding angles. You get one, and then you throw something. And I went from like the most losable scenario ever to completely winnable. We get main, and then we continue to take site. Okay, so to wrap this all up into one beautiful bow is finding an enemy tendency, finding what you tell the enemy likes to do. So let's say they smoke top mid, they like to go mid, and here's what we can do to counter it. We use an ability, bottom mid, we walk down mid, and we try to take an aggressive fight. You can use other abilities here, you can bring in a teammate here to help fight with you, but this is a very solid plan, this is very solid positioning. This is how you get impact in the rounds. The simplest thing to do that 90% of players just don't do. I've watched hundreds of VODs from players in every single rank, and I can tell you how many times I've covered this concept and seen this concept not applied. Hope this video is helpful. If you guys want to see other videos like this, let me know. And check out the Ko-Fi to support the content. Dubskis.